My mother-in-law changed my 2-year-old daughter's name on all birthday invitations to the name she preferred, then told relatives I was being difficult about family traditions. So I did this at the party, and she went nuclear throwaway for obvious reasons. So I, female, 28, have been dealing with this situation for 2 years now, and I honestly don't know if I'm going crazy or if my mother-in-law is deliberately trying to undermine me as a parent. My husband Jake, male, 30, keeps saying I'm overreacting, but I feel like I'm losing my mind here. When our daughter was born, we named her Emma, like that's her legal name on the birth certificate, Emma Rose. But from literally the moment she was born, my mother-in-law Marie, female 58, started calling her Margaret at the hospital, while I was still recovering from giving birth. I know this sounds petty, but hear me out because it gets so much worse. Marie claims she's honoring her deceased sister Margaret and that it's family tradition. The thing is, Jake never mentioned this sister before, and when I asked him about it, he just said something like, "Oh yeah, Mom had a sister who died young," but he was super vague about it, which should have been a red flag, honestly. But here's the thing that really messed with my head. I was exhausted, like completely destroyed from labor and recovery, and one of the nurses heard Marie calling the baby Margaret and just went with it. She wrote Margaret in the visitor log or something. And now Marie brings this up all the time as proof that even the medical staff recognized the real family name. I'm like, the nurse was just being polite to what she thought was the grandmother. But Marie acts like this validates everything. Marie tells Jake that new mothers get overly anxious about everything. I hate when she says this, and that she raised 2 children just fine. Then Jake repeats this to me almost word for word. Like I'm some paranoid first-time mom who doesn't know anything. I looked up information about how important it is for kids to have consistent names. I thought if I could show them real research, maybe they'd listen. But Jake just said his mom means well and has years of experience, and then he literally walked away to go eat her chocolate chip cookies she'd brought over. I'm not kidding. He stress eats her cookies every time we have this argument. The honey thing, though, that's when I realized this wasn't just about names. I had this emergency dentist appointment on a Saturday. Tooth pain was killing me, couldn't wait until Monday, and I reluctantly asked Marie to watch Emma instead of dragging a cranky 2-year-old to the dentist office. I was gone maybe 2 hours. When I got back, I found a honey jar in Emma's diaper bag, just sitting there. I asked Marie about it, and she said she gave Margaret, real food instead of processed snacks because she needs proper nutrition. I tried to explain that honey isn't safe for toddlers under 3, some say 2, but I was being extra careful, and Marie literally laughed at me, said children used to eat everything and turned out fine, that this is all modern helicopter parenting. But Emma had digestive issues that night. She was fussy, and her stomach was clearly upset. The next day, I pointed this out to Marie, and she said it was just coincidence, probably something else. I asked her, please don't feed Emma anything without checking with me first. Marie's response was that grandmothers have been feeding children for thousands of years, and she doesn't need permission to give her granddaughter real food. My voice definitely got louder at this point. Not proud of that, but I was scared for my daughter, and I tried explaining about modern safety knowledge. Marie accused me of not trusting family and being influenced by internet mommy blogs. I showed her actual pediatric guidelines. Then at the next family dinner, Jake's sister Candace, female 33, backed Marie up completely. Said family traditions and elder wisdom should take precedence over rigid modern parenting rules, and basically called me paranoid. So now it's 2 against 1, and Jake just sits there trying not to take sides, which honestly feels worse than if he just disagreed with me. But wait, it gets worse. I found out Marie has been introducing Emma as Margaret to everyone in her social circle. I took Emma to Saturday library story time, and the librarian greeted her as Margaret, said her grandmother brings her to book club meetings all the time. I was so confused until I realized Marie has been taking my daughter to her book club and telling everyone her name is Margaret. Same thing happened at church nursery. They knew her as Margaret because grandma drops her off sometimes when she babysits. Marie has literally created this whole parallel identity for my daughter, where she's Margaret to Marie's entire social world. And I had no idea because why would I think to ask about that? The money thing is stupid, but it adds up. Marie keeps buying backup supplies for Emma but they're all labeled Margaret. So now we have duplicate everything: backpacks, lunch boxes, water bottles, because daycare gets confused when the names don't match. I can't use half the stuff Marie buys because it has the wrong name on it. We're basically paying twice for everything, and I'm starting to realize the extended family thinks I'm the problem. Jake's cousin mentioned at a barbecue that I seem really rigid about family traditions. I was like, what traditions? Apparently, Marie has been telling everyone I don't respect family heritage or something. So now, I'm the difficult daughter-in-law who won't let grandma call her granddaughter by the family name. I feel completely isolated. Jake won't confront his mother, so I have to handle all the boundary setting myself. And every time I try to address it, I'm the bad guy making issues over nothing. But here's what's really killing me. Emma is starting to respond to both names. She looks confused sometimes when people call her Margaret, but she doesn't correct them because she's 2. She doesn't understand that people are using the wrong name. And I'm worried that Marie's plan is actually working. My daughter doesn't even know what her own name is anymore. I watch Emma's face when she hears Margaret, and I can see her trying to figure out if that's her or not. She's learning that she has 2 names and 2 identities depending on who she's with. How is that not confusing for a toddler? I don't know what to do anymore. Jake thinks I'm being unreasonable. His family thinks I'm difficult, and my daughter is starting to think her name might actually be Margaret. Am I crazy? Is this normal grandparent stuff that I'm blowing out of proportion? Because I feel like I'm taking crazy pills here. Sorry this is so long. I've been holding this in for months and needed to get it all out somewhere. Thanks for reading, if you made it this far. Information to add. Since people are probably wondering, yes, I've talked to Jake about this multiple times, but he always says his mom means well and doesn't want to create family issues. He grew up with her being very involved, borderline controlling from what I can see, so this all seems normal to him. He genuinely doesn't understand why I'm so upset about it. To answer the obvious question about just cutting contact, it's complicated because Marie provides free babysitting, and we really need that financially. Also, Jake would never agree to limiting his mom's access to Emma since she's never actually hurt Emma. The honey thing was ignorant, but not malicious, according to Jake. Some of you might ask why I don't just go along with Margaret, since it's just a name, but it feels like giving up my basic right as a parent to name my own child. Plus, Emma is her name. It's on every legal document. What happens when she starts school and gets confused about which name to use? What happens with official records? For those saying I should have put my foot down earlier, you're probably right, but Marie is very good at making it seem like I'm being unreasonable. She has this way of acting like she's just a loving grandmother who wants what's best for her granddaughter, and anyone who objects must be selfish or paranoid. I kept second-guessing myself because everyone else seemed fine with it. Now for the first update. Well, it happened. I caught her red-handed, and now I'm questioning everything. This is going to be long. Sorry, but I need to get this out because I'm literally shaking as I type this, and I don't know what to do anymore. So like 3 weeks after my original post, thanks everyone for the advice, by the way. It really helped me feel less crazy. Emma's 2nd birthday was coming up, and I was trying to plan something nice. Nothing huge, just family and a few friends from playgroup. Basic stuff. Marie actually offered to help, which honestly surprised me because things had been kind of awkward since our last argument about the honey thing. She said she wanted to handle the invitations since she knows all the family addresses and has experience with party planning. She's always reminding everyone about her experience with everything. I thought maybe this could be like an olive branch situation. Like maybe if I let her help with something, she'd feel more included and stop with the Margaret nonsense. I know some of you said in my last post that I should cut contact, but realistically we need the free babysitting, and Jake would never agree to that anyway. So I spent hours making this perfect invitation template. I'm a graphic designer, forgot to mention that before. So I made it really beautiful with Emma's photo front and center, and her name in big letters, like you literally could not miss that her name is Emma. I put little butterflies around it because she's obsessed with butterflies right now. I was actually proud of it, you know? Like finally something Marie and I could work on together without fighting. I emailed her the file with super detailed printing instructions because I wanted them to look professional. I also attached a list of everyone to invite, including the playgroup friends' emails, since she was handling the whole thing. Marie even complimented my design skills, which felt really nice, honestly. She promised they'd turn out great and said she'd handle everything. Fast forward to last Tuesday, and I'm at the grocery store with Emma in the cart. She was being so good, just playing with her little toy phone, when Jake's cousin Rachel approaches us. She starts going on about how excited she is for little Margaret's party and asking if we made the name change official yet. I'm like, what? And she shows me her phone. The invitation. My beautiful design with Emma's photo. Except where it should say Emma's second birthday. It says Margaret's second birthday. I literally felt like I was going to throw up right there in the cereal aisle. Rachel's looking at me weird because I'm just staring at her phone and she's like, "Is everything okay?" And I'm trying to process what I'm seeing while Emma's babbling in the cart, completely oblivious to the fact that her own grandmother is erasing her identity. I told Rachel there must be some mistake, even though I knew there wasn't, and basically ran out of the store. Emma started crying because we left so suddenly, and I felt terrible, but I couldn't think straight. But wait, it gets worse. Thursday at Emma's playgroup, Jessica, one of the other moms, comes up to me and mentions receiving an invitation for Margaret's party. She asked about family naming traditions and if it's like a cultural thing because she didn't want to be insensitive. That's when I realized Marie didn't just change the family invitations. She changed all of them. She sent altered invitations to my friends too. I was furious, like actually seeing red. I waited until Emma was napping and called Marie immediately. The conversation went something like, I asked her why she changed Emma's name on the invitations, and at first she acted all confused, like she didn't know what I was talking about. Then when I explained about Rachel and Jessica, she was like, oh, that, and admitted she made what she called a small adjustment. I asked why she would change the name without asking me, and she said the family knows her as Margaret anyway, and she didn't want to confuse the elderly relatives who might not remember about my preference for Emma. My preference. It's her legal name. When I said this was straight up lying, she got defensive and said she was preventing family confusion and making things easier for everyone. I told her she needed to contact everyone and correct the invitations. That's when she shifted tactics and started talking about how the catering is already ordered and the venue is reserved. We're having it at her house, but apparently that counts as a venue. And if I keep making problems, she might have to cancel everything. I realized she was literally holding my daughter's birthday party hostage. She accused me of being ungrateful after all her help and said I was making problems over paperwork when there are real problems in the world. Then she hung up on me. Less than an hour later, Candace called. Less than an hour. Marie obviously called her immediately to get backup. Candace used her whole professional sales voice, she works in real estate, to explain that correcting the invitations now would embarrass Mom and create unnecessary family fighting over something minor. She kept calling it paperwork, like my daughter's name is just some administrative detail. She said I was making mountains out of molehills and that family harmony should come first. But here's the thing that really hurt me. When Jake got home, I showed him the invitation photo from Rachel and asked if he knew about this. He said no at first. Then he said maybe. Then, when I kept pushing, he admitted that Marie mentioned making some formatting adjustments a couple of weeks ago, right after you sent her the file, but he didn't think it was a big deal. My husband knew. He knew she was going to change our daughter's name and didn't tell me. When I asked why he didn't warn me, he said he hoped it would just blow over and he didn't want to create more conflict. He said Marie seemed excited about helping and he didn't want to ruin that. I was like, you let your mother lie to me about my own daughter's birthday invitations because you didn't want to deal with conflict. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about everything. The honey, the parallel identity at Marie's book club, the family backing her up. And I realized this isn't just about names anymore. Marie has been going behind my back and making decisions about Emma while making me look like the crazy one to everyone else. She's acting like she gets to decide everything, and I'm just some outsider who doesn't get how families work. Like she's literally rewriting my daughter's identity and getting everyone else to go along with it. The next day, Jake left his phone unlocked after we argued about it again. He stress ate an entire sleeve of crackers, I'm not even kidding, and I saw the family group chat. Marie had been telling everyone that I was being difficult about family heritage and not respecting deceased Aunt Margaret's memory. The relatives were all supporting her and saying things like, new mothers can be overly protective, and she'll understand when she's been a mother longer. She's been coaching the family to see me as the problem. But then yesterday, something unexpected happened. Dale, Jake's stepdad, he's usually super quiet about family stuff, pulled me aside when we went over for dinner. He said he's noticed Marie gets worried about not being important to the family anymore, but he wasn't sure what to do about it. He admitted that staying out of it was really just him being scared of fighting with Marie. But he said what she did with the invitations crossed a line, and he wanted me to know that my concerns are valid. He said he should have spoken up before now. It felt good to have one person validate what I was seeing. But also, where was this support months ago? Now I have 2 days before the party. 2 days to figure out how to handle this without ruining Emma's birthday. She keeps asking about her party and gets so excited, I can't cancel it. But I'm a graphic designer. I work with rush client jobs all the time. And I have an idea. I just need to work through the night to make it happen. Sorry this is so scattered. I haven't slept much, and I keep going between being angry and feeling like maybe I'm overreacting. But seeing those invitations with the wrong name, I can't unsee that. She literally erased my daughter. To everyone who said in my last post that this would escalate, you were right. I just didn't think she'd be this bold about it. More updates soon, I guess. Wish me luck. Now for the second update. To answer the most common question from my last post. Yes, I went through with my plan. Well, it's over. Emma's party was yesterday, and I honestly don't even know where to start with what happened. I'm still processing everything, and my hands are literally shaking typing this, but I promised an update, so here goes. First off, thank you to everyone who commented on my last post. Reading all your responses really helped me realize I wasn't going crazy. Like, seeing so many people confirm that this wasn't normal grandmother behavior, it gave me the courage to actually do something instead of just letting Marie steamroll me again. So I worked through the night Thursday, making those t-shirts I mentioned. I was done, you know. I used the same photo of Emma from the invitations and made these really cute cartoon-style shirts that said, "My name is Emma, not Margaret," with little butterflies around her picture. She loves butterflies, remember. I got 20 of them printed at the rush place I use for client jobs. Cost me like $300, but honestly, it felt worth it to finally do something instead of just complaining about it. Friday morning, I went over early to help Marie set up. I know, but I needed to make sure everything was ready for Emma. She was being super sweet and helpful, which honestly should have been a red flag, but I was so tired from staying up all night that I wasn't thinking clearly. I was in the living room moving furniture when I heard Marie on the phone in the kitchen. She was talking to someone, I think Jake's Aunt Helen, and I wasn't trying to eavesdrop, but she was being pretty loud. She said something like, "Just call her Emma today to keep the peace with Lauren. But don't worry, this whole thing will blow over soon, and we can go back to using her real name." I literally froze, like completely stopped moving. Real name. She called Margaret her real name. Then she said Lauren's being difficult about family traditions, but eventually she'll understand that grandmother's wishes matter, and Margaret is the name that honors the family. I'm standing there holding a folding chair, just processing that my mother-in-law has been planning this whole thing. Like she knew the invitations would upset me, and she was planning to just wait me out until I gave up fighting. That's when Dale walked in from the garage, where he'd apparently been close enough to overhear the call too. He saw my face, and I guess he knew I'd heard something because he got this really guilty look. He asked if we could talk outside, and guys, Dale told me everything. Apparently, Marie's been planning this transition to Margaret for months. She told Dale, and probably Candace too, that new mothers are naturally overprotective, but that family names are more important than what she called Lauren's temporary preferences. She actually said that. Temporary preferences. Dale said Marie believes I'll eventually realize that fighting the whole family is exhausting, and I'll just start using Margaret to keep the peace. She was literally counting on me being too tired to keep fighting. The honey thing. That was her testing how far she could push my boundaries while Jake watched. She wanted to see if he'd back me up or let her override my parenting decisions. Spoiler alert, he didn't back me up. Dale felt terrible for not telling me sooner. He said he knew it was wrong, but Marie gets so angry when people contradict her, and he just didn't want to deal with it. But hearing her on the phone that morning, talking about her plan, made him realize how coordinated this all was. I mean, I knew Marie was manipulative, but this was like next level. She'd been working with multiple family members to undermine me as Emma's mother, while making me look like the unreasonable one. So when guests started arriving around 1 p.m., I was ready. I had all the t-shirts in a big gift bag, and I just casually started handing them out as people walked in. "Party favors," I said cheerfully. We wanted to make sure everyone knows Emma's actual name. Most people thought it was cute, like a fun party theme. Jake's cousin Rachel even said something about how creative it was to incorporate the name confusion into the party decorations. Emma loved the shirts. She kept pointing at her picture and saying, "Emma, Emma!" She was so proud. Marie didn't notice at first because she was busy in the kitchen with the cake. But as more people put on the shirts, I could see her starting to figure it out. Around 2:30, when we were setting up for cake, elderly Aunt Helen, who's like 80 and very sweet, came up to Marie wearing her shirt and asked about the name thing. She said something like, "The invitation said Margaret, but the shirt says Emma. Which name should I use, dear?" I watched Marie's face just change completely, like she realized her whole plan was falling apart in real time. She tried to laugh it off and said, "Oh, it's just Lauren being creative with party themes. Don't worry about it." But then more relatives started asking questions. Why do the invitations say Margaret if her name is Emma? Is this a legal name change situation? I thought you said the family calls her Margaret. Marie got more and more flustered trying to explain. Candace jumped in with damage control, saying it was just semantics and family nicknames are normal. But people weren't buying it anymore, especially when Dale spoke up. He said Margaret was the name on the invitations that Mom ordered. Emma is the name on the birth certificate and the name her parents chose. I think we should respect what the parents decided. The whole room went quiet. All eyes turned to Jake, who looked like he wanted to disappear into the floor. But for once, he didn't try to stay neutral. He said, "Her name is Emma. It's always been Emma. And I should have said that months ago." That's when Marie completely lost it. She started screaming that I had poisoned the family against her, and that I was selfish and disrespectful, and that I'd ruined everything. She yelled that Emma needed to know her family heritage and that I was keeping her granddaughter from understanding who she really is. The worst part, Emma started crying because her grandmother was suddenly screaming in her face during her birthday party. My baby was terrified and confused while Marie was having this meltdown about names and family traditions. Marie kicked everyone out. Everyone. She said the party was over and told people to leave her house immediately. So Emma's second birthday party ended with her grandmother screaming at a room full of people wearing t-shirts with Emma's name on them. But here's the thing, and I didn't expect this. Within a few hours, I started getting texts from family members apologizing. Jake's Aunt Helen, cousin Rachel, even some of the relatives I barely know. They were all saying they had no idea Marie was changing the invitations without my permission and that they felt terrible for using the wrong name. The family group chat, Dale showed me, was going crazy. People were comparing stories and realizing Marie had been coordinating different narratives with different people. Some relatives said they'd felt pressured to use Margaret, but didn't know why. Others admitted they thought the whole thing was weird, but didn't want to cause problems. Basically, Marie's meltdown exposed everything. Her whole manipulation strategy fell apart because she lost control when people could see her true behavior. Jake spent most of yesterday evening apologizing to me. He said seeing his mom scream at our daughter during her birthday party was like a wake-up call about how bad this situation had gotten. He admitted he's been scared of confronting his mother his whole life, and that watching me fight for Emma's basic identity made him realize how messed up that is. Dale set a boundary with Marie that he's not going to support any more family coordination that involves lying to other family members. Candace lost a lot of credibility because people saw her trying to cover for Marie even when everything was obvious. And Emma, she's totally fine. She spent the evening playing with her new toys and keeps asking to wear her Emma shirt. The confusion about her name stopped immediately now that everyone's using the right one. Marie hasn't contacted us since the party. I don't know if she's planning to apologize or double down or what. Part of me feels bad about how everything exploded, but honestly, she brought this on herself. The thing that really gets me is how planned it all was. This wasn't just a stubborn grandmother who liked a different name. She had a whole multi-month strategy to override my parental authority while making me look crazy for objecting. Like, who does that? Who plans out how to manipulate their son's wife into accepting that they don't get to name their own child? I keep thinking about what would have happened if I hadn't overheard that phone call. Would she have just continued this forever? Would Emma have grown up thinking her name was something different depending on which side of the family she was with? Anyway, I wanted to update everyone because your comments really helped me feel less alone in this. The t-shirt idea worked better than I expected. I'm still not sure how to handle the relationship with Marie going forward. Like, how do you rebuild trust with someone after they prove they're willing to lie to your entire extended family about your child's basic identity? But that's a problem for future me, I guess. For now, Emma knows her name is Emma, and everyone in the family is using it correctly, which honestly feels like a huge victory after months of feeling like I was losing my mind. Thanks for listening to my crazy story, Reddit. I'll probably update again if anything else happens, but hopefully this is the end of the Margaret saga.